There was a time when news about Israel could not be published in any Arab newspaper, in any media of Saudi Arabia, in any newspaper outlet or radio. The word Israel could not even be spoken or written. It felt as if Israel does not even exist. There is no greater enmity than the belief that Israel exists. This enmity was so intense that the first king of Saudi Arabia, who laid the foundation of the nation, Shah Abdulaziz ibn Saud, learned of Jews being brought and settled on Arab land with their friends Britain and America planning to establish a separate country for them, Israel. King Abdulaziz of Saudi Arabia appeared on the American presidential ballot every day, asking, "Sir, what harm have the Arabs done to you?" If Hitler committed act of barbarity, he was a German, and those atrocities occurred in Germany and Poland. Why not giving them a part of Germany's land? Why is Arab land being given to them? The American president promised the Saudi king on the daily ballot that the fate of Israel or the area known as Palestine would not be decided without the consent of the Arabs. The Saudi Shah gained confidence. Now this American president was a significant favorite of America, and he was a polio patient, but he was still alive. He faced a severe illness, which garnered sympathy. During the Second World War, he made his community proud by displaying leadership. However, what's worth noting is that Rose Ballot was suffering from a severe illness, which was kept hidden from the public and the world. Tragically, during his illness, he passed away. Truman then assumed the role of the new American president. The Saudi king re-altered to this new American president, Truman, the same statements regarding Israel that he had made to the ballot every day. Truman also assured the Saudi king, effectively convincing the Arabs that the daily promise would be upheld. The ballot had made the commitment. Now the Saudi Shah had regained his confidence. So my friends, a new character enters this historical history. And this character is Shah Faisal. Our city was renamed from Lailpur to Faisalabad on his name. You might be familiar with Faisal Mosque. Shah Faisal bin Abdul Aziz held the position of Wazir, chair in Saudi Empire during that time, and he was the eldest son of Shah Saud bin Abdul Aziz. Due to his role as Wazir chair, he had close ties with America and much more. This is where the story converges with the issue of Israel's existence. King Faisal was leading this effort on the orders of Saudi king, and he executed it quite effectively. America had made a promise, and their relationship with the Saudi king had been strong from the beginning. So they had confidence that America would uphold their commitment. Now, where was this promise to be fulfilled by America? It was to be fulfilled at the United Nations. Voting took place in November 1947, just 3 months after the establishment of Pakistan and India. In simple terms, this voting involved the main members of the United Nations deciding whether to support the existence of Israel. They had to vote for it or against it. Surprisingly, both Pakistan and India voted against the construction of Israel. Many might find it astonishing that India, in fact, voted against the construction of Israel. It was a significant event. During this session, Saudi Arabia was confident that America would uphold the promise they made and not vote in favor of Israel's construction. However, the opposite occurred, as America not only voted in favor of Israel, but also lobbied for it. This fact greatly enraged Shah Faisal. Remember friends, this was the same Arab who had rebelled against the Ottoman Caliphate during the First World War and contributed to the freedom of the Arabs. He had provided an opportunity to establish a foothold in the region. Arab also helped in the struggle for the occupation of Britain in Palestine. It was due to their efforts that the British Empire had reached its climax, potentially evolving into a superpower. And it opened the door for the Jewish settlement in Palestine. In hindsight, it appears that the Arabs may have wanted to rectify the mistake they made by opposing the existence of a Jewish state, rooted in their historical enmity with the Ottoman Empire. They may have felt a sense of guilt or regret. Therefore, they decided to reclaim this land. Additionally, they had forged new connections with America, establishing strong ties. This was possible due to America's oil discoveries and extraction in Saudi Arabia, leading to Saudi Arabia's prosperity. Oil was being supplied from Arab countries to America and other global powers, further enriching the Arab nations. These connections had developed, especially for those individuals hailing from Saudi Arabia who had recently accumulated wealth. They were the new rulers of the region, yet they were still influenced by the age-old importance of Arab identity. Unlike today, they didn't hold the same level of animosity towards Iran, and their children didn't possess the number of luxury cars and mansions you see today in 2023. For the Arabs of that time, in 1947 and 1948, the idea of fighting relentlessly, sacrificing everything for their vision, and returning to a simpler life was not as difficult. They had been accustomed to a good life and were living it. Thus, going back was not an impossible challenge for them. Without paying heed to the support Israel had from America, the Soviet Union, Russia and Britain, they organized a military rebellion in Palestine, opposing the existence of Israel. Initially, the Arab nations surrounding Israel, including Jordanians, Syrians, Egyptians, and people from Sham region, alongside Arab residents of Palestine, initiated hostilities against the Jewish population in Israel. They did their utmost to rebel against the Jewish presence. Notably, the Arabs were more powerful and numerically superior to the Jewish population in the region. Moreover, the aftermath of the Second World War had left the Arabs with many surplus weapons. It's important to note that during this time, the type of warfare relied heavily on weaponry, which was more effective than traditional swords. The fighting primarily revolved around territories that had been contested. The Arabs successfully captured significant areas from the Jewish in Palestine. A significant development unfolded in the midst of these rebellions and clashes. Jewish soldiers who had fought in both the First and Second World Wars had gathered in Israel. These battle-hardened soldiers came from various parts of the world and were determined to secure their homeland after centuries. Their determination and strategic planning enabled them to retake territories from the Arabs, which the Arabs had seized from the Jewish prior to their arrival. It is important to recognize that during this conflict, Pakistan and the Arab nations, particularly Saudi Arabia, were united against the destruction of Israel. The history of the House of Saud Arabs lineage extended for centuries, and Pakistan was aligned with them. Even India shared a similar stance. This marked the situation between Arabs and Israel in 1948. Israel's victory in the war was so decisive that the Arab campaign to reclaim the entirety of Palestine or the territories that Israel had obtained through the UN vote was unsuccessful. Toward the end of July 1948, a peace agreement was signed. This agreement did not bring an end to the war. Rather, both armies ceased firing, resulting in a stalemate. It was as if they had agreed to take a break, rest momentarily after their struggles, and postponed further enmity for a later time. During this interval, Israel took advantage of the peace deal to engage individually with each Arab state, making separate agreements with them. Numerous unique agreements were made, but the fundamental principle was clear: a commitment not to engage in bitterness during this period. No bullets were fired. However, in December 1948, the Arabs executed a notable action that remains significant even today. Whether you are already aware of it or not, you might have heard references to it in speeches, text messages, newspapers, or other media. This incident unfolded in Damascus, a Syrian city located near Israel, and it is particularly noteworthy because it involves the Arab League. In Damascus, where the grave of Salahuddin Ayyubi is situated, the Arab League established an office, Arab united with the goal of preventing the surrender of any territory to Israel under any circumstances and ensuring that Israel would not survive. They were determined to execute their plan. The Arabs made a resolute decision that no Arab nation would engage in buying or selling with Israel. Their actions did not stop there. They extended the boycott even further. The Arab decided that no Arab nation would collaborate with any company that had any association with Israel, effectively isolating Israel from the Arab world. Their anger toward Israel was intense, leading to a commitment not to engage in any business or interaction with any company linked to Israel or related to it. It's fascinating to reflect on the level of enmity directed toward Israel just a few days earlier. This narrative provides a comprehensive understanding of the transformation that has taken place. It highlights the hidden dynamic between Arabs and Israelis, where the underlying sentiment is closely related to their Jewish identities. The love that has emerged is evident, but the question remains, where did this transformation come from? In 1948, the Arabs initiated a comprehensive social-economic boycott against Israel. To manage this boycott, they established a specialized office, a powerful department located in Damascus, Syria. This department maintained a lengthy list of products associated with Israel, instructing people not to purchase or sell items from this list and prohibiting collaboration with any company linked to Israel. The boycott extended to various well-known brands, including Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Pepsi, and Ford. Many individuals sought recognition by contributing additional names to this ever-growing list. The intense animosity between the Arabs and Israel persisted. Even today, if you browse through your Instagram feed, you might find a fondness of Israelis. The story of this boycott is not a recent development. It has deep historical roots and has been in existence since its inception. This boycott persisted and became more stringent over time, with Arabs spreading this policy among their non-Arab friends, including Pakistan and others. Pakistan openly aligned itself with Arabs in the name of Islamic solidarity, considering Israel an enemy, just as the Arabs do this today. This trend continued, leading up to a significant moment when Shah Faisal, a significant figure at the center of the narrative, met with the foreign minister of Saudi Arabia, who later rose to the throne as a powerful figure in Arabia. This marked the beginning of a crucial phase in the story, where Saudi Arabia, led by King Faisal, a man who held the key to a critical button, the oil switch. By turning this switch on or off, he had the power to cause sleepless nights for the European nations. This button controls the flow of oil, and the year in question is 1964. In 1964, King Faisal bin Abdulaziz, also known as Shah Faisal, played a pivotal role in instigating the Arab nations, particularly Saudi Arabia, and the wider Arab world against Israel. He led the charge in this campaign, engaging on both a global and regional scale. Further developments occurred during the reign of Shah Faisal in 1967. In 1967, a significant event unfolded as the Arabs launched an attack on Israel, prompting Israel to respond with a counteractive strike against its neighboring Arab nations. This strike occurred unofficially, although not through official declaration. During this war, Pakistan was indirectly involved on the side of the Arabs. The reason for this involvement was that Pakistani pilots were stationed in the Arab world on a training mission or deputation. Among these pilots was Shah al-Azam, hailing from Bengal. Shah al-Azam displayed remarkable heroism by downing several Israeli aircraft, an accomplishment that surpassed the achievements of Arab pilots. However, despite this act of bravery, the Arabs experienced little success in this war. In the span of just 6 days, Israel inflicted significant losses on the Arab nations. The Arabs bore the brunt of their defeat. During the Six-Day War in 1967, many Arab countries like Egypt and Jordan lost control of places, including East Jerusalem, which has important religious sites. Israel took control of these areas during the war. This situation caused a lot of ongoing problems and talks in the Middle East. During this war in 1967, Israel received extensive support from the United States in the form of weaponry and financial support. This situation reignited old wounds of Shah Faisal and the Arab nations. especially when America voted in favor of Israel at the United Nations. The pain of the Arabs were deep, and they were felt revenge. Their desire for retaliation ignited a burning fervor, prompting them to prepare for another war against Israel. This preparation phase lasted for 6 years, during which Anwar Sadat, who led Egypt, and Shah Faisal collaborated on a plan. Their plan was simple. If America chose to support Israel in the next war, the oil-producing Arab nations would retaliate by cutting off the supply of the oil to the United States, effectively using oil as a weapon. After 6 years of meticulous preparations and thorough planning, in 1973, the Arab nations launched a new offensive against Israel, attacking from two directions. At the outset of this war, the Arabs managed to encircle Israel on the land and in the skies, creating a dire situation for Israel. In the maritime theater of war, the Arabs were not that powerful. In this war, the Arab nations, while strong in their commitment to Islam, lacked the military strength to overpower Israel. Nevertheless, Saudi Shah Faisal stood with his fellow Arab nations, although he did not dispatch a large army to assist them. Instead, he provided a limited number of troops, known as Barai. Driven by their Arab nationalism, they wholeheartedly participated in this war, alongside their fellow Arabs against the Jews and Israel. Pakistani pilots were also involved in the conflict. Although they played a symbolic role representing the Arab nations, it is essential to note that the entire Pakistani army was not directly engaged in this conflict. As the war unfolded, Israel initially found itself in an unsafe situation. However, the United States behind the scene entered the fray, secretly sending massive shipments of advanced weaponry to Israel. This substantial military aid upheld Israel's position, enabling them to mount a stronger defense against the Arab forces. This turn of events enraged Shah Faisal and Anwar Sadat, the Egyptian leader. The Arabs had not only lost significant territories to Israel, but were also losing this war. The blow to their Arab nationalism was profound, marking a significant setback they had not experienced in centuries. Staying true to their earlier decision during the era of Shah Faisal, the Arab nations made a strategic move. They halted the flow of the oil from their countries to the nations that supported Israel. These included not only the United States and Britain, but also the countries like Japan and Netherlands, primarily due to their close ties with the United States. The impact was felt across various sectors. The American stock market took a significant hit and the car sales dropped. Capital investors in the United States faced substantial losses. The consequences of this oil boycott extended beyond American borders. Japan and other nations, which had historically aligned themselves with the United States, found themselves indirectly targeted by the actions of the Arab nations. It was as though they were saying to America, "You have placed us in this difficulty, and now it's your responsibility to detach us from it." This period represented an exceptionally challenging phase in the modern history of the United States. During this period, the situation could be linked to a scenario where their oil supply was halted. It was as if they had run out of their own oil reserves. In this difficult situation, an ingenious figure within the American administration devised a strategy. This figure engaged with the Jewish community and held discussions with the Syrians and other parties involved. Within a remarkably short span of just 5 months, by March 1974, they successfully put an end to the oil embargo and restored the flow of oil. In this episode, both the Americans and Israel played a pivotal role in arranging a revolution. The outcome of this war was that Israel gave up territories to Egypt and Syria, areas that had been seized by Israel 6 years earlier. Thus, the war concluded in a manner where the Arabs did not achieve a victory over Israel. However, it concluded to a significant extent in accordance with their wishes. There were moments when they grappled with feelings of guilt as Israel declared victory. Similarly to the 1967 decision, this time they accepted the return of previously conquered territories to Egypt and Syria. Because of this deal, a few years later, Egypt regained control of the Sinai Peninsula. This marked a partial success for the Arabs, with Shah Faisal bin Abdulaziz playing a significant role in this achievement. Following this, he engaged with Pakistan, alongside Bhutto in an endeavor to forge Muslim unity and strengthen the Muslim world through their oil economy. They worked toward establishing an Islamic bloc. However, it's essential to note that Shah Faisal and Bhutto met different fates, with both facing tragic ends during different circumstances. These individuals, some of whom were willing to go to extreme lengths, held power within powerful nations. They were unafraid of cutting off oil supplies to those who posed a threat, initiated conflicts, formed alliances, and temporarily set aside their economic interests. This was their stance against Israel, with whom friendship seemed impossible.